Welcome to Insight. So earlier we were having a chat about mental health, just like in general, and I guess we came to the conclusion that a lot of men's health is a topic that isn't discussed too often, and we thought we would sit down and have this conversation with you guys.
Why do men just generally struggle to talk about mental health?
What like you me, bro?
We know it's like very common in African society.
Yeah.
Any personal thoughts?
My theory is because it starts at home. Now, like, men don't really talk to their sons enough about anything. You know, we as men generally learn things from our peers. Like, starts in primary, you learn, even though we mislead each other sometimes, that's where we learn how to be a man. We learn it from our peers generally. Now, some things you might learn from your parents. If you're lucky enough, you're in a family where you talk to your father a lot. But most of the time, as men, we just learn from our peers, like how to talk to girls. An older kid in primary or high school would just be like, nah, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And we take that in, and that's how, at the end of the day, that's how men learn how to be men. And then, as for not talking as much, that's where we get it from as well. You know, like in high school, if you start crying in front of your friends, they start laughing at you. Or they stop acting like a girl. And then as you grow up, that idea that you should stop being emotional, you should stop talking about your emotions and stuff, it builds up, and then you just stop talking about it.
I think it's definitely, like Sean said, it's something you learn from your older gents or older men in your family or older men you surround yourself with. I think, like, growing up, I grew up with brothers, and like I witnessed, like, I knew these guys were going through things, but they wouldn't speak about those things like to anyone. Like, they'll take care of that stuff by themselves. I know the phrase "man now" perpetuates toxic masculinity, but I do certainly feel like when I was younger, there were certain things I felt like and now even I definitely had to, like, man up and take care of that stuff by myself. And I guess, like, as I got older, that's just something that always stuck with me. Yes, it's something I should break. Yes, it's something men as a whole should break.
So you guys personally have a problem with being vulnerable, is that what you guys say?
I think men in general, definitely.
Me being vulnerable personally is not something I can do easily. Maybe something really drastic has to happen to my life in order for me to break down and be like, nah, I can't do this anymore. But so far, nothing has ever happened into my life where I felt the need to go up to somebody and be like, nah, I need to talk, I need to get this off my chest or whatever.
Okay, since there is levels to it, what is the level that you would say men need to actually talk about this? Because you guys are saying that, you know, it's at this point, you know, you don't need to, right? When do you need to? That's the problem.
If it's something that affects it either affects your life in like a massive way, in a big way, or it affects you daily, then I think that's definitely something you should.
Yeah, if it affects your life, your relationships, your relationship with your friends, your family, if it affects that, then you should definitely talk to somebody. If you're spiraling and people can see that, nah, something is up, then you should talk to someone. But some things you just have to man up. Like, if you're dealing with one problem at a time, definitely you can man up and deal with it. But if it's multiple things coming to you at once, life sometimes can get really difficult. Then you should, like, ask for help. And men can't tell a difference when, like, stuff is starting to get real. Like, if it's starting to get really tough, they can just get overwhelmed by themselves and then feel like they're gonna man up at some point, but it just ends up never happening, and then they spiral.
Can I talk personally from a woman with what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
And you just correct me if I'm right or wrong. So I feel like with men, they know when it's bad. It's just for me, like, when I talk to some of the niggas, like, from school, they have a problem with being vulnerable to people. So who would the right people actually be for you guys to go to, or that you think men would be more comfortable going to? Because you know how women, we have clubs, we can just go to our friends, or, you know, so for us it's just easier. If there's a problem, you know, we are taught to talk about it and be about it. So where would you guys personally go if it's really getting out of hand, like you cannot deal?
I think every man should want to, or every man should be in a position where they can go to, like, family But a lot of us aren't in that position. Not because our family won't listen to us or because they'll just ignore what we're saying, but simply because this is not something we do. I can speak to my brothers about certain things, but I know for a fact there's certain things I know in my mind I gotta do this by myself. Yes, you can go to a therapist. Yes, you can go to a psychologist, whoever. But personally, I don't have too many people. If I do speak to certain people, it's probably a woman in my life. If it's like something I really need to get off my chest, I'm likely to speak to a woman in my life.
But can you be too weak to talk to your own friends about? Like, give me an example.
I've never been depressed to a point where I feel like I'm gonna kill myself, you know. But at the same time, I know some guys that have been in that kind of situation and they will not talk it. That's a mental illness. I feel like that's the main one, depression, basically. You know, you can have bipolar disorder, you can have like other things, but the main thing that young people are going through is like depression, yeah. And in order for like you to overcome that, that's why relationships are so important. You need to have at least one person in your life that you can go to and talk to. You can be a pastor if you're very religious. It could be, you have to have at least one person you can talk to. And these days, people don't know how to build relationships. Maybe that's why it gets worse.
Let's not go as deep as depression. Let's just go for, okay, that is kind of depression. Okay, but breakups, yeah, like men don't even talk that they're going through a breakup. Why, if it's something that small, you can't even talk to your friends about it? Because we understand with depression, because sometimes girls can't even talk about their depression. Yeah. But guys, it's with even smaller things that keep on adding up to another thing, if you noticed. So
I think it's just that, like just like you said, small. I would say small like this because to some people it's usually pretty big. Some people see it big, some people see it in like the grand scheme of things, it's probably small. It's probably like a really small thing.
Yeah, typically amongst guys, when a guy goes through like stuff, as soon as a guy starts having problem with a woman, it's just funny. Like for most guys, you know, that's why we never talk about it, you know, because they just find it funny. Like you broke up with your girl broke up with you. It's even worse when the girl breaks up with you. Then they're gonna be like, nah, that means you're not enough. There was somebody better than you out there, and guys can't deal with that. They just internalize the feelings, you know.
I just see it as something that's so small that I don't need to talk about it. Like it's something that's so small that there's no need for me to actually like speak about it. Like,
so you wouldn't go to your jeans if you're heartbroken? Like, you did that toxic masculine. That's toxic masculine.
No, but for him, I get it. Like maybe he was not really deeply invested in that relationship. I wonder if you're not deeply invested in the relationship, it's not a big deal.
Okay,
but if you were like deeply invested, like you're with this girl, you're loyal and everything, and then she ends up breaking up with you, that's a different topic.
Okay, give me one example. Give the crowd one example.
What?
Of a situation you think guys just would not go to their niggas or even their parents or their friends.
Okay.
And
I'll give you an example with me. I'll just talk about this sad example. Yeah. I dated a girl in my neighborhood. Man. Everybody knew like I was dating this girl. Yeah. And then there was this guy in the neighborhood who was like smashing my girl, you know, and everybody knew that. You know, I always saw this guy every single day, you know, and he would keep on asking me like, "Are you still with that girl?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my girl." And I was loyal at the time. Keep in mind, I'm dating this girl for like 4 years. I'm loyal and everything. And then I find out like even my own brother knew that, but he couldn't tell me. That's how messed up toxic masculinity is, because he was like, "Nah, it's not my place," you know. And yeah, I felt it was embarrassing, bro.
People basically perceive you. That's why you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
So is it how men perceive you or how women perceive you?
It's mainly about how men... Okay, for me it's mainly about how men perceive you. With women sometimes don't know what they want. When it comes to men. That's how I feel. When it comes to men, they don't know what they want, okay? So it's all about like an individual, you know? Because some girls want a man that sucks it up, okay? Who is a man who provides and does everything for them. And some women want to go 50-50, Okay, yeah. So some women don't want a guy who'll be sensitive and cry about their emotions. They want a guy who's like will man up and take charge.
Take care of your business, man.
Take care of your business.
Okay, moving more to the, let's say, the serious mental health issues. What do you think men can do that will still make them feel like they have dignity at the end of the day?
I think it's exactly what Sean said. Like, everybody needs at least one relationship in their life where it's like the relationship is so open that you feel comfortable actually speaking about this. Like, I don't have too many people in my life I speak to about certain things, but I have a certain person I know. If there's something I want to get off my chest, this person's always down to speak, and it's a woman. So I feel like definitely just like create a relationship, or even if it's just one relationship, like where you can be open enough to actually be vulnerable, and you know.
And I feel like going forward, like as us as young men who don't have kids yet, we should like,
who knows,
plan for the future. We should like. Okay, I was just saying, okay, let's be serious, okay? As young men who don't have kids yet, like, or even if you have a kid, you should learn, like, you should look back and look at what you didn't have growing up, okay? If your father didn't talk to you as much as you would have liked him to talk to you, just do that for your kid. Like, spend more time with your kid, understand your kid, talk to them, know what their day-to-day is like, and just pay attention. When something is going on in their life, they can come to you and talk about it. Because there's so many cases where young men get harassed, sexually harassed, and they don't have anybody to talk to, not even their own parents, you know, and that is messed up.
Okay, last question. Do you think that schools need to have a system where they deal with troubled boys? From my perspective, like at school, it's always the boys. It's always the boys. It's always the boys that are, you know, that's all in the deepest water. There's always petty something, but the boys, it's always something deep that it gets to bullying. Like, in one of the schools I went to, like, this boy is being bullied and he ended up dying. That's crazy. That is crazy. His parents didn't even know. So do you think, like, they should put into schools? Okay, they can't necessarily put into work systems, but if you know what I mean, like, where do you think they should have it more?
I feel like in public schools, definitely, because they don't have that in public schools. You know, they don't. I get that in private schools, like there's counseling. You know, isn't it like counseling in private schools? There's a therapist or whatever.
But that's only if like the teacher picks you like out, basically.
If the teacher picks you out, okay, that's sad. Yeah, in public schools, definitely. You know, because in public schools, teachers just see you as like a troublesome child, and other kids just see you as a bully, as this mean kid. Or if you're not a troublesome kid, you're just quiet. You're just that awkward, quiet child. And I feel like in public schools, there should be like a system where kids who are like troubled, who are going through family issues or whatever, they can go to somebody in the school and talk to them. Along
with this, that happens, this it may be therapy or whatever at school, like the school should provide. It should also be like an understanding at, like in the household, because I can get all this therapy here at school, but once I go home it's a different thing. So I think both at home and school they should promote like openness with boys. Let me say boys because we should start when they're younger, because for me right now it's harder to switch the whole thing I've been used to since I was a kid. So definitely start from boys and actually let them know it's okay.
What about you guys? You guys, at the end of the day, boys learn from their peers.
They do.
So what would you guys do for your friends to make sure that, you know what, you guys can come talk to me? We should like
create a spirit of brotherhood, I guess. And black people have this thing of like, don't get into other people's business, but you just have to. Like if you want a better future generation, you just have to.
I've always been an advocate of communication, and I think communication can solve a lot of, not even just this topic, communication can solve a lot of problems from like a lot of different things. So I definitely think communicating with them and just letting them know if you need someone to speak to, I'm here, dude, like. And if you need someone to speak to, this man's here for you. If I know this man really is here for. So I think just communicate with them and actually let them know, let them get a feel like it's okay.
Niggas just generally don't ask each other
how are you actually doing?
Are you good?
How
if
are
you can see
doing?
niggas off, like you should be like, how are you good? Like you know.
Yeah.
But you want to wrap it up?
I guess that's also like a kind of like, I don't know if that's something that we grew up to like go for, like grew up to follow or something. But like when somebody sees a woman doing badly, it's kind of like, you know, we'll make sure she's good. Like, how you doing? Are you good? But a man, definitely people will, but not at the same rate, or not.
Yeah, as a man, we can like empathize, but we won't like act on it. You know, we can be like, oh, he's going through hard times, but we'll, because I know that when I'm going through hard times, I don't need another guy going like, no, it's okay, bro. You know, so I wouldn't want to do that to another person, you know. And I bet, and in my mind, I'm thinking this person will not want me to be there. You know, they just want to be in their space, think about whatever it is they're thinking about, and try to find a solution.
I'm more friends with guys than girls, actually. And I can see the problem with guys is that they learn it from their peers simply. Like, just because this guy doesn't act a certain way and his father did or something, they just generally think, I shouldn't act that way. Like, it's almost like guys, it's like you look at each other to look how to act emotionally. I've never understood that. Girls aren't like that. When girls feel a certain way, it's either left or right, but on their feelings. Guys will be like, you know, I'm a man. You know, they say the weirdest things. It's like, my nigga, you're dying. You know? So I feel like...
Just hoping people will see this video and realize that we need to like set each other straight. As guys, we need to set each other straight and also set the younger men straight. You know, as soon as you see a young boy doing something messed up, and we don't do that anymore. Like, as black people, back in the day, whenever a black kid does something, especially in the rural areas, like whenever a young kid does something wrong, everybody intervenes. If a kid is smoking on the street, a young boy is smoking on the street, they'll be like, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be in school? You know, they'll ask questions. These days, nobody cares. You know.
So you're more involved like with a lot of diversified people. So because I know colored guys are more aggressive about it. Those are that aggressive touch. White guys are more soft about it, but they're also kind of subtle. Because I know we've been speaking from a black man's perspective a majority of the time.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely just a man thing, but I would never try and like perpetuate a stereotype or anything.
Yeah.
But definitely, like, throughout my lifetime, I've witnessed more Caucasian boys, white boys crying. We understand the stereotype that colored men are more aggressive. We understand the stereotype that black men don't speak on much.
But it comes from somewhere, like, you know.
I think it's just environment, like Sean has been saying. Environment. Like, as a black man, I'm probably more likely to chill with a group of, like, with black men. As a white man, you likely, and I know we live in South Africa, you can diversify your crowd, but lightly. So I witnessed that all these men around me aren't speaking about, you know. So I'm not going to speak about it.